Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 21st, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We've had a good Sunday. It's been a fun day. But before we touch Sunday, let's get back. Let's rewind back, to yesterday. Yesterday was a good day. I had a good time. Let me talk about, because I didn't want to spoil it yesterday, but I went to a wedding. Not just any wedding. I went out of town for a wedding. And not just for anybody, a guest from the show. So it was nice. It was a fun time. I figured we'd talk about that a little bit. But yes, I went to Columbus to see, our lovely friend of the pod, Terrell Flowers, get married to his lovely wife, Katie. Now Katie Flowers. I was very hyped. It was a very fun time. Also, not to mention just the wedding in of itself. Just to preface that, the fact that I got to have a good, technically in total, 4-hour drive session with my boy Johnny. So yeah, it was just really cool to kind of just hang out with some friends, chop it up, catch up, sing Paramore songs. I don't know, it was a whole vibe. At least and that's just on the way up. So, we get there, wedding starts like immediately, right on time. So I was like, wow, perfect. Love that. We love to see a timely, functional, situation. Functional, well, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, everything looked magical. Everything looked beautiful. They had like tavern remix vibes like playing throughout the whole night. So that was really cool. Just in terms of the overall ceremony, it was beautiful. It was cute. Everyone got to laugh, got to cry. We got to roll some dice. It was fun. It was cute. But then when we do the reception, it was, we had to make our character sheets. So we got to roll dice to make our characters. And then as, everyone kind of got settled in, we had the food come out. So we had the appetizers and then we had the, the main course and stuff. So me, I got to do a food corner real quick. So for the appetizers, we had this buffalo chicken, I think it was on a tostada. Something like that, and it was very yummy. I think it had some chive or something like that on it. Then we also had a tomato. It was almost like a cracker chip situation. I want to say it's bruschetta, but not like the bread. Maybe it was. I don't know, but that was really yummy. That was good. Excuse me, I had a burp coming on. I'm trying to think what else there was. Oh, and then I think my favorite appetizer that they had was this crab cake croquette. It was very yummy, like a super bite-sized situation. Then let's see here. There was also a fruit plate, like a little fruit spread. So I got to get some raspberries, got to get some blueberries and some strawberries. Also some melons and pineapple. So that was nice. That was good. So it was nice to kind of start the palate off with that. Then for the entree, there was ham, there was chicken breast. Let's see, there was potatoes, had a little side salad situation. What else was there? Did I say the potatoes? I think they were red skin potatoes. But yeah, no, everything was good. Everything was yummy. Like I said, the vibes were really fucking cool. It was also cool to see my friends in that element too. Like this group of friends that I had, a little bit more of the nerdy side. Also, another guest of the show, Andy, he was a groomsman. So shout out to him, looking dapper. Everyone looked great. But yeah, it was nice to see them out on the dance floor, dancing, having a good time. I dare say, I think my little group out of everybody was vibing the hardest. Also, though, it was cool to kind of mingle with other people's friends. And, this stuff you kind of do at a wedding function, right? You get to see your friends, whole group, their whole friend group, throughout, and they get to all celebrate this marriage, this moment. And so it was cool to just kind of mingle and get to know people, really vibe. It was a great time. So yeah, we did that. Got home too, because it not only did it start very efficiently, very effectively, it also ended very promptly. So we got in, we got out. It was nice. It was like 4:30 to like right at like midnight, like perfect. And I was making the joke that I was like, wow, it's so crazy to see this wedding go so smoothly, so like effectively, so efficiently. And half of the group is kind of like, Isaiah, why are you saying that? I mean, we've been to plenty of weddings that like go exactly like this. And I'm like, hey, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that that's the case for a lot of people, but as a person who's gone through a marriage before, I was like, yeah, no, mine did not go that way. My general interpretation is you go in with the best laid plans, and I mean you've done all of the foresight, all of the planning, all the setup, but you know there's going to be some potholes, you know things are going to go wrong, but everything's going to go right at the end of the day. So it was nice to see this just go from A to Z, perfect. It was great. So clap it up for them. I was very very hyped, very excited. Congratulations. But yeah, let's see. From Saturday, we obviously segue into Sunday. Sunday. And Sunday was a good day. I woke up and I felt like it was weird. I felt out of sorts, out of time, waking up at home, not like having to go, take a long trip to take another nap. So I think in memoriam of that, I woke up kind of felt like I had a little bit of a headache because I came home and like had a little nightcap. Like, I don't know, I was missing the vibe. I was missing the Northside vibe. I'm like, yeah, one for the night. Oh, I will say, thing to note, they did have an open bar, clutch, very nice, but I only had like a Corona. I was like, I don't want to drink too hard. Oh, and there was also a cake, which I believe was a spice cake, but I didn't want to eat it because I was having a little bit of tummy trouble, a little bit of tummy time, and I didn't want to risk it for a 2-hour drive back, So I was like, nah, I'm okay. I'm good. But I heard good reviews. It was a good cake. So I had a little bit of like a weird hangover, even though I had like, 2 beers and a shot or something in grand total for the whole night. But, these things happen. Probably didn't drink enough water. And I was like, all right, I'm going to sip of some Gatorade. I'm going to, kind of relax. Then I was like, you know what? You can just go back to sleep. And that's what I did. Got up at like around 10:30 proper and started my day. We did some grocery shopping, which is going to lead us to our last food corner. That's right. I got one more. This was a weekend full of food, full of fun food, full of tasty treats. But I was finally able to score a David bar. And maybe some of my dear listeners are asking, what's a David bar? It's a protein bar, and it's not a big deal or anything. But I've been questing to find one of these bars without having to like go out of my way and order it, or go to Target or store I just normally don't go. I wanted it to just be at my Kroger or at a local gas station, and I could try it. So it just so happens that I was just in a random aisle. I look up high enough and I see, oh, David. Awesome. So I get 2 of them because I was like, love or hate them, I might as well just give them a try. I will say first things first, right off the rip, it was like $3.29 or something for one of these bars. So not really a cost effective thing, but really no protein bar really is from what I've seen. The reason I wanted this bar so bad was because the overall like macros, the nutrients or whatever, were supposedly really good. I think it was 150 calories, I believe 28 grams of protein, and then a bunch of old yada. But I once I heard those 2 numbers, I was very interested because my favorite protein bar is the Gatorade ones. I think it's like a chocolate caramel crunch one. And that one's really good, but for that one, it's 340 calories, and then I think you're only getting 20 grams of protein. So I was just like, there's something weirdly magical about how they're able to make those macros happen. And everyone was saying that, oh, these taste very good. And I almost wanted to say like, nah, that's got to be cap, right? But like enough people were saying it to a point where I even like heard a whole like episode about it on the Daily. They were talking about this shit, and I'm like, not sponsored? Okay, so I was very curious. Also, hashtag not sponsored. I go when I get the peanut butter chocolate bar, and I get home, before I go to my little workout, and I'm like, all right, let's open it up and just try it out. So some notes and things I wanted to say about it. It was denser than I expected, so I was like, okay, that's a good sign for something like that, kind of in like a little small packaging or whatever. I was kind of expecting it to be a bit flimsy, a bit like light. So I was like, okay, I'm pleasantly surprised to feel like it has a little bit of a weight. In terms of a protein bar, it does look like a Soylent thing with nuts in it. But I mean, it's not the worst looking protein bar I've ever seen. And in terms of the taste, obviously the most important thing, really, it tasted very good. Like, I was very surprised. I would still say, compared to my favorite, I would I would prefer my favorite. I would prefer the Gatorade bar. But I think I would come back to the David bar if I was ever in a situation where I needed a protein bar, because once again, the macros of it are so good and it tasted pretty good. Also, no bad aftertaste. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I was like sitting in the chair afterwards. I'm like, I don't know why I'm so vexed by this David. He's got me in a loop. But no, overall, I would definitely try it again. But I would also add the asterisk of, I really don't personally feel like I need a protein bar. I don't really go out of my way to do many supplements outside of creatine because I eat. I do eat. And I generally feel like I hit the numbers I want to hit for most of the day. In fact, there are some days where I hit it too hard and I hit over and I hit the surplus and then I'm sad. But, we're working on that. That's life, huh? But no, overall, I feel like that's I got to get into the gym. We got to the gym, right? Gym was solid. It was a good pump. I don't know, was there anything of note to really add from today? Oh, just because I cut cardio a little bit, I'm always worried that I'm going to have like a bad mental moment, or I'm going to be too tired and want to wuss out again. But we didn't. We had a good day, full day. So, no problems, no complaints. It was a smooth day for the most part. So yeah, we love that. Good pump. But yeah, that's been my weekend. There we go. Let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. I feel like I've yapped too much, especially for a Sunday. But yeah, I like talking to y'all. I like telling y'all about what I'm doing, and I felt like this was a very, maybe it's monumental, but not necessarily for me, but just a fun weekend. So I figured, hey, let's squawk about it a little bit. But yeah, once again, congratulations to the Flowers family. Anyway, okay. Oh, speaking of flowers. Uchiwawa. All right. Our first story comes from Al Jazeera. Israeli forces killed 91 in Gaza, including civilians fleeing Gaza City. Israeli forces have killed 91 Palestinians in Gaza in a single day, according to medics, including family members of a prominent doctor and 4 people on board a truck fleeing northern Gaza City. The killings on Saturday came as Israeli forces continue to press on with their relentless air and ground assault to seize Gaza City, the largest urban center in the enclave, and force its population into concentration zones in the south. Excuse me. Israeli forces bombed residential homes, schools turned shelters, tents, housing displaced people, and a truck carrying people trying to flee Gaza City on the military's orders. At least 76 people were killed in the attacks. So I am just going to leave this story here, but I just want to mention the number. Obviously, it's very tragic. It's also crazy that this is going to be a thing that obviously we keep talking about, and the number is sadly probably going to keep at this high rate. Especially with the story that we're about to get into, it just seems like there is an escalation, which is always crazy to be like, because we always leave with it being at such a high rate, and it's like, no, they seem to always want to either keep it at this level or try to find a way to make it worse, to do more damage, all in the name of the defense of Israel because of October 7th or what have you. Oh, well, we had to kill these people because they're Hamas, and that's just the way it is. Sorry about it. But yeah, no, we'll be back. But let's see, from CBS News, United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada officially recognize a Palestinian state. The governments of the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia joined dozens of other nations in symbolically recognizing a Palestinian state, despite vociferous opposition from the United States and Israel. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Sunday confirmed the widely anticipated announcement, saying the move is intended to revive hope of peace for the Palestinians and Israelis. Now, normally in these situations, I'd want to read the quotes of these people. They do quote Keir Starmer in this article. They also do quote, what's his name? Emmanuel Macron, boo. And also boo to fucking Keir Starmer too. But let's see. I will read Canada's. It's maybe the most neutral tone because I feel like they don't try to hit these angles to go out of their way to be like, oh, Hamas is bad. Hamas is bad, 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 bad. But we do recognize that, Palestine deserves to be, actually considered a state, and the people a people. Let's see here. Canada recognizes the state of Palestine and offers our partnership in building the promise of a peaceful future for both the state of Palestine and the state of Israel. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney wrote on social media. Obviously, the U.S. and Israel strongly condemn this, especially Israel. I think Trump more or less just said, I disagree with their stance on this. But yeah, I mean, out of Israel, I do think that there's going to be an escalation of violence just for this alone. We've already seen it in terms of like the West Bank, in terms of the settlements just being ramped up, violence being increased. And sadly, that you just don't see any response out of that. You don't see Israeli army or anyone coming out and, putting a stop to it. In fact, they're there to facilitate it more times than not, if that, or to stop people from getting help when, an ambulance is called because someone was shot or someone was beaten. So yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see more of this. You're going to see more of the legalities pushed in Israel on the West Bank to try to say, hey, we're going to take more of your land. We've covered that before in the past. I think you're only going to hear more stories like that, which is unfortunate. But this is a part of the campaign where they said there will never be a Palestinian state to talk about. That is our goal. That is our plan. And meanwhile, you just have Western countries kind of just being like, oh, well, we're really fighting for this two-state thing. We've always been talking about it. And I mean, this kind of feels like more of that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, at least for a symbolic record, it means something. It's a positive step, but you do have to slap a symbolic on this shit, And like I said, it is at the cost of most likely more aggression out of Israel, which is only going to be enabled by the U.S. So, it is something I feel like you wanted to be happy about, right? I remember, last month, this was the thing that was going to be talked about, but you just knew that we were going to get here and it wasn't going to fucking change it. And, I don't know, it's just one of those things where you dwell on it too long and it upsets you, I think. I mean, what else can it do? It makes you mad to know that this shit is just going to keep going and going and going, and people are going to keep dying. It is a frustrating thing, but like I said, there will always be more to talk about. So we will be back. We'll see what comes in the future. But our next story, which is it's not lighthearted either, so that sucks. We're kind of just into the maw here. I'm gonna take a quick water break, collect myself. We're coming up though on 2 years of this shit, man. And I mean, like I said, obviously I don't know what it's like to be in that kind of fucking situation where you are constantly losing anyone and everyone that you know. You are constantly being displaced, running for your life, and with less food, less materials, and it just shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. I can only fucking imagine the horrors, the nightmare that you have to live and go through. And, for it to just kind of be batted away by these people, your neighbors. And it's just like, nah, it's not a thing. We can just keep killing you guys. It's fine. Because once again, what you guys did to us, terrorism is bad, y'all. So we got to keep fucking killing these people to make sure it doesn't happen to us again. No more 9/11s. Fucking, it's a lot. Anyway. From The Guardian. 4 people arrested in Washington after alleged hate crime on trans woman. 4 people, including 3 teenagers, are accused of a hate crime in Washington state after being arrested in connection with an alleged attack on a transgender woman that left the victim hospitalized, according to authorities. The Renton Police Department said the 4 suspects in the case first argued with the 39-year-old woman on Monday evening, then beat her after she saw them again later. Investigators say they hurled homophobic slurs at the victim, who was attacked on a street near a transit center in Renton and suffered serious injuries. They chased her, knocked her to the ground, and repeatedly assaulted her, police said in their statement. Police documents obtained by ABC elaborate, recounting how the woman told officers she first encountered the group while telling them to stop harassing people at a local transit center. That drew the group's attention, and they began charging towards her, the police documents allege. She told police she fell and heard someone yell a transphobic slur. As she tried to get up and leave, members of the group began assaulting her, and one of the alleged attackers choked her. The victim reportedly said she believed she was going to die. ABC reported that the video of the reported attack, recorded by a witness, showed the group violently punch and kick the victim in her head and her upper body, including while she was on the ground, according to what police wrote in documents. The group walked away while the woman was on the ground, police said. Police arrested two of the suspects, boys ages 15 and 17, who were siblings, near the scene of the alleged attack soon after it happened. A third boy, 16, was arrested Thursday on suspicion of assault and a hate crime. Police put out a plea on social media to help identify the fourth suspect, posting surveillance pictures of him, taking note of his distinctive facial hair, necklace, and jacket. Court filings cited by ABC said officers identified him through his high school campus security team. And yeah, one of the suspects is in the thumbnail for this episode. But police did not identify the three teen suspects because of their ages. They identified the fourth as 25-year-old Ramondre Edwards. Obviously no relation. King County prosecutors charged the two sibling suspects with assault, strangulation, great bodily harm, and a hate crime. Both pleaded not guilty and were ordered to remain on electronic home monitoring, prosecutors said. The third teen suspect was put on electronic home detention pending a charging decision from prosecutors, which was expected on September 23rd, as ABC first reported, citing prosecutors. A charging decision for Edwards, whose bail was set at $300,000, is also expected on September 23rd. So yeah, this is pretty fucking sad, grim story. It just feels like some hooligan-ass behavior. I don't know what motivates people to kind of be like this, to like lean on these debase fucking impulses and be like, yeah, we're just gonna be mean and evil, and then if someone like tries us, we're gonna fuck them up. We're just gonna beat them up. I just don't understand why you'd want to spend your fucking day being like that. But that is what these people sadly chose to do. And yeah, I mean, obviously for the victim, I hope that they have a speedy recovery. But yeah, I mean, that's traumatic. That's fucking devastating. But yeah, we are going to move on though to our next story from ABC News. 2 people killed, 5 hurt in Indianapolis mass shooting. At least 2 people were killed and 5 others were injured when gunfire erupted early Sunday in the parking lot of a shopping center in northwest Indianapolis, authorities said. The mass shooting unfolded just after 2 a.m. at a shopping center on Shore Terrace. Terrace? Why did I say it so funny? Shore Terrace, according to a statement from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. No arrests have been announced. Officers went to the shopping center after receiving a report of a person who was shot there, according to police. Officers arrived and located 5 victims who all sustained injuries consistent with gunshot wounds. 2 of the victims were pronounced dead at the scene, and 3 were taken to area hospitals, police said. Another victim suffering from a gunshot wound showed up at a hospital on their own, and a 7th gunshot victim went to a nearby fire department, according to police. The motive for the shooting is under investigation. Further investigation revealed that before the shooting, a disturbance had occurred, according to the police statement, which didn't provide further details on the disturbance. So I don't know if that means that this was connected to that. Are they 2 individual things happening at this McDonald's? But police asked that anyone with information about the shooting contact investigators immediately. A $1,000 reward is being offered for information leading to a felony arrest in the case. The names of the victims killed in the incident are being withheld by police pending notification of their relatives. The shooting occurred just hours after 2 police officers came under fire in a separate incident in northwest Indianapolis involving an armed man allegedly threatening employees at a McDonald's restaurant, according to police. The officers were called to the McDonald's around 6:30 on Saturday after getting a report of a disturbance with a person armed with a weapon, according to a police statement. When officers arrived, a McDonald's employee pointed out a 34-year-old man still inside the restaurant, whom she alleged threatened to kill her and was armed with a gun, according to the statement. When officers confronted the suspect, a struggle ensued, police said. At least one of the officers returned fire, but did not hit the suspect, whose name was not immediately released, police said. Officers chased the suspect out of the restaurant and captured him nearby. During one of these incidents, 2 of our officers were attacked while responding to a disturbance involving a man with a gun, and a shot was fired in their direction. Police Chief Chris Berry said in a statement. Their quick, decisive action and their training brought the situation to a safe resolution. We understand how nights like this can shake our sense of safety, but the IMPD remains fully engaged and continues to do our part to keep our neighborhood safe. I always hate covering these stories out of a McDonald's. I don't know why, but I think the reason that it makes me feel so is because that seems like a relatable place for me that I could get shot. I guess it's like putting myself into the story or into the moment. Making it about me. But no, I feel like that. I mean, granted, in America, you could get shot up anywhere. I also have that random thought of someone could just be popping off, outside, and I could just fucking catch stray or something from my house. I always have that fear because stories like that are a thing. Once again, in America, but I still want to chalk that up as an irrational fear, I want to make that, the record. But obviously, it's very sad that this happened. Obviously to the victims, condolences and family. But if I get any more information on what happened at this McDonald's, I'll definitely come back to it because I feel like there's definitely more in the details here. And it would be nice to maybe know exactly what caused a person to want to do this. Hey, I'm going to come back to this McDonald's, or I'm going to be at this McDonald's and I'm going to fucking pull out and pop out on people. I'm going to start killing people. And I started blasting. That's fucking wild, man. But it just kind of goes to show that it can happen anywhere. But yeah, let's move on though to our last story. One more thing that I wanted to cover, and then I'll let you go. But yeah, let's take our last break and we will go ahead and get into it. All right. Our last story is from the Sacramento Bee. Sacramento suspect in ABC 10 shooting arrested by FBI after release from jail. The man suspected of opening fire on ABC 10's Sacramento offices was taken back into custody Saturday by the FBI, the same day of his release from the Sacramento County main jail. Anibal Hernandez Santana, 64, of Sacramento, was initially arrested and booked into the jail in connection with Friday's shooting at the TV station in Upperland Park. No one was hurt in the shooting, and officers found at least 3 gunshots in one of the building's windows. By Saturday afternoon, Sacramento officials confirmed Hernandez Santana had been released from the jail after posting his bail of $200,000. He was arrested later that day on federal charges, according to an FBI spokesperson. Hernandez Santana, named Hernandez Santana, where they put a hyphen there, by the FBI, is accused of violating federal statute 47 USC 333, which states no person can willfully or maliciously interfere with radio communications licensed or authorized by the federal government. ABC 10, or KXTV, is owned by Tenga, a national chain of TV stations. The charges are only allegations. The defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, the FBI spokesperson wrote in a statement on Saturday. Hernandez Santana is scheduled to appear in Sacramento federal court at 2 p.m. on Monday. Let's see. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. The Friday shooting was reported around 1:30 p.m. in the 400 block of Broadway in Upperland Park. One day earlier, 15 people had protested outside the ABC 10 offices after ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel's late night show following pressure from the federal administration. Sacramento police reported that people were inside the building at the time of the shooting, but nobody was struck by gunfire. Investigators identified the suspect vehicle in the shooting, which later led officers to arrest Hernandez Santana at a home in the 5400 block of Carlson Drive in Sacramento's River Park neighborhood. As of Saturday, police said the motive behind the shooting remained under investigation. Social media accounts matching the suspect's name, written as Hernandez Santana, so they do have it spaced, show he posted frequently about politics. Oh, relatable. Posts in the last week criticized President Donald Trump, United States Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Charlie Kirk, a conservative political activist who was fatally shot earlier this month. Actually, an aside, his memorial was this weekend. Obviously, big, conservative turnout, big MAGA movement. I didn't feel like covering it. I feel like for obvious reasons, and not to mention there wasn't much. I really feel like juice to squeeze out of it, at least that to my knowledge as of right now. So yeah, I'm just on other things, but worth mentioning. President Trump's brain. Sorry, I'm reading this quote here. President Trump's brain is where democracy goes to die, the X account wrote on April 9th. In a post in the morning of the shooting, the account reposted a video of Republican congressman saying Kirk would have been the 13th disciple if he lived during biblical times. This is blasphemy. Can't believe these Republicans sucking up to their own twisted show, the account wrote. Agreed, but I wouldn't post this in this cringe way. Like, I find myself being like, oh yeah, what a relatable guy, but then they just get cringe. They say it in just like a way that I'm going, ew, no, okay. And then that there's this ramp up to them popping off on a broadcasting station. And it's like, dude, for what? And this is a studied person. I guess we can read a little bit further. Hernandez Santana studied regional and city planning at UC Berkeley and attended UC Law San Francisco, according to a Facebook profile with his same name. A LinkedIn profile matching his social media profiles said he had worked for several employers, including the National Council of Urban Indian Health, California Federation of Teachers, Latino Coalition for the Health California, and California Catholic Conference. And a little bit more details to close it out. But in general, I can understand where this person is coming from, their revulsion, their frustration with the situation at hand, with the administration set before us that we have to deal with. But reacting in this way, lashing out this way, obviously focusing on the shooting part of this, is not the way to go about it. What were you hoping to accomplish by this? Were you going to pop these shots off and now you've saved free speech, First Amendment, cleared, we're good now, mission accomplished? Or are you going to get Jimmy Kimmel back on the air? Like what are we getting out of this? And the answer is nothing. You could have just fucking killed someone, and that would have been terrible. So what is to be gained from an action like this? Nothing. So, I feel like that's definitely something to be mindful of and to really understand, and I think press the severity of, because obviously good that no one died. But I think in America, the psyche of, well, you literally dodged a bullet, that's great. And then you just kind of move on about your life. But no, the fact that this is something that's so consistent, and not to mention, it only takes that moment, it's serious. So this is just not the way to go about it. I feel like, hey, you have the knowledge here, it seems. You're aware of what's going on. Better to focus on trying to do some kind of organization, and try to grow that up at some kind of local level, build that up and out, instead of trying to pick up a firearm and being like, oh, I'm going to fucking start shooting. That just doesn't get you what you want. It just doesn't. So that is where I'll leave it, A bit sad, a bit somber, but so it goes. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Appreciate all the people who, hit that button. Keep up with the Joneses. It's always appreciated. Oh, I mean, it's Sunday. I really shouldn't be shilling. I'm doing machine mode. My bad. But I'll cut it off from there. But yeah, no. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.